and welcome to the final episode of.
Is that a threat? Is that what that is? That's a threat, isn't it?
This is All Things Considered on NPR.
There are very few things considered in this.
None of the things are under consideration.
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot happening in the world right now. None of it is being considered here. It's all way too depressing. I would like to go over something you said to me, though, just before we got on. You said, I have to go to a friend's house because a cat is there. Now, that is a weirdly vague phrase because most of the time, what people mean when they say that is, I have to go feed my friend's cat.
mm-hmm.
But you said you have to go to a house because a cat is there.
Yeah, well, I don't really want to feed the cat. I want to play God of War. So that is my main motivation to get there.
Okay, so incidentally, you will be feeding a cat, but which God of War? Is it God of War 1 or Ragnarok?
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. Ragnarok. That's a weird accent. Okay, well, I just wanted to say, once again, the way you phrase literally everything never ceases to amaze me. Because call me on the phone and say, I have to go to a friend's house because a cat is there. It makes it sound like you're in like a weird relationship with a cat or something like that.
Yeah, we do strange things for Pussy Ben.
And also,
This is Unusable. Welcome to the show. I'm Tyler Martin.
I'm Ben Steinberg. And you know how I said, and also right before you interrupted me and said, This is Unusable?
I know you were.
I was actually not going to say welcome to the show. I do appreciate you interrupting and saying the title of the thing we're doing. So thank you very much for that.
Well, now I want that thought, though.
I know. I was going to talk about the text you sent me, which is, why did I have to be cursed with minimizing my impact on other people in close proximity and being almost constantly aware of my surroundings and needing things to be mostly utilitarian? I'm not sure what that last part means, but basically, why do I have to be so considerate of other people when they're not considerate of me at all? I imagine that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just wanted to say the reason why you're like this is because you're weak and you suck.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm going to inherit the earth.
Blessed are the weak, for they suck. And they shall inherit the earth. Imagine if Jesus was just a bro. He's like, blessed are the meek because they suck, dude. They're just the worst. All right. They're just constantly coming to me with their problems and their leprosy and their arms are falling off and they act like I can do something about it. And I can, but you have to get up off. Forget it. You know what? I mess it up.
Yeah. Pick yourself up by your sandal straps, you know?
But it's funny because you live in a suburb of Portland and it's pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, for the most part.
I don't live in a super noisy place compared to, say, New York City, but I do have neighbors who make noise from time to time. I'm mostly used to it. I did have neighbors who had a dog that barked so much I eventually had to get the city involved, but we dealt with that. But, like, if you get used to noise, that kind of thing, like your roommate talking, it just kind of stops bothering you after a while. I'm not saying you should have to get used to that, but, like, my friend Elliot has moved out to El Segundo. That's sort of a suburb. He has a house now. I went to Chick-fil-A with him maybe a year ago or so, and we were sitting there in Chick-fil-A, and he was like, do you hear that? I was like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, the door is just creaking open and closed, like all the time. It's so irritating. I'm like, I literally did not notice any of that once. And that's what happens when you remove yourself from other people, is you just become sensitive to every little dumb thing that happens. And of course, I'm being a hypocrite because I got way too sensitive to my neighbor's dog constantly barking. But it is weird how that works. Like if you live in New York City for a while, you just become numb to all the bullshit.
I don't think that's true. Not in the outside, sure, because that's like outside. You should be able to come back and have that kind of, you know, be able to just not have to be assaulted by
No, I
some
know. The horrible thing about modern civilization is that we believe we are entitled to peace and quiet, I
just
think.
just a modicum.
A modicum, it would be great.
A
But
mo
so much of life on this planet is people who are just yelling, and you just have to tune it out.
I'm okay with
You
people yelling because I feel like I can handle that.
in fact, I actually ultimately agree with you. You should be able to come back home to a place where you can just sort of go and not have to deal with anything aggravating all the time. But like in in India, when they're filming Bollywood movies, and they're filming them like outside, there is no way of controlling anything going on around anybody, and that's why
Mm.
so many Bollywood movies are dubbed, because there's literally a billion people out on the road making noise constantly. And so as a result, every Bollywood movie, you just get used to it after a while, the dubbing, but they're all dubbed because they just cannot account for the chaos of daily life in a place like India. And you live in a suburb in Portland, and who are you to complain? I'm just kidding. I honestly agree with you. I think if you go home, you should be entitled to some peace and quiet. And
Just a mod.
a
Just a mod. Oh, I come.
mod icon,
Mod I come.
mod icon. Okay, so before we started this, you were going to say something to me.
Oh yes. Well, I came up with a brand new segment.
Please share.
Starting this week, I'd like us to pick a topic. The topic could just be a noun, and what was in my head was toaster strudels. And what we do is we create something based on that. It could be a song, could be a limerick, could be a picture. Anyway, and we bring it the next week, and we try to see who has the worst thing that they did. The most
Um,
unusable piece of art possible.
I will have the worst thing because my piece of art will be just a scribble on a piece of paper, and I will win every time.
I want to say that defeats the kind of the soul of the game, the spirit of the endeavor.
Yeah, well, you can go enjoy the spirit of that thing yourself. I'll do it. Sure, I'll do it. Let's try it 1 week. Let's try it. Why not? Why not?
Okay.
Let's try it. We are actually going to be uploading these episodes to the internet soon. So just let's
You heard
let's
it here
see what
first.
happens.
This might.
Might
I
what?
don't want to jinx it. I want to finish it.
Okay. Yeah, don't jinx it because then I'll be like a groundhog who sees his shadow and just goes back, just burrows back in the hole for another 3 months of winter or whatever. And you don't want that to happen.
I think it's like weeks. I think it's measured in weeks.
Oh,
Six weeks or something.
it's a whole extra winter if the groundhog goes back in its mound, in its day, whatever a unit of a groundhog's abode is.
Mm.
Okay, so what subject do you want to make a piece of art about?
Oh, toasted strudels.
Oh, so you just gave out toaster strudels as an example, but now you're actually committing to wanting to do that. Okay, so what? Would you write a poem about toaster strudels?
I don't know yet. It's brand new right off the top. Stop, look, and watch. It's all that.
I saw a kid having a tantrum the other day.
And I said, I gotta stop looking in the mirror.
I was on a walk and I saw a kid having a tantrum, and I was just I was just amazed at the sincerity of it, you know? Because they're crying for real. There's no sort of manipulation. Well, I guess crying is a certain kind of manipulation if you're like an infant that's saying, "Hey, I need something." But I just think it's so amazing. Like a kid will be crying and then they'll kind of go into overdrive and then really sort of start manufacturing the tears and kind of they do the vocal fry thing a bit where they're like I just think it's so funny. It's so weird.
Oh God, Ben, you're bringing me back to when I was 17.
Oh really? Is that how
Uh,
is that how you cried?
oh yeah, I was just had my dad drag 200-pound me across the floor of Toys R Us.
I do remember one day after like a marching band performance or something like that. I think we were it was a football game. I got in a car with you and your dad, and you wanted to go to Arby's really badly. There used to be an Arby's in Santa Monica, and you got so angry at your dad because we weren't going to Arby's. And I just remember seeing you in the front seat while I was in the back seat, and you're going, "Dad, I just want to go to Arby's. Okay? I just want to go to Arby's."
Sounds like me.
That's a temper tantrum I remember
Hmm.
of you. I
Yeah.
also,
Well, I feel like I don't ask for a lot. Like the thing with about me is I don't know what I want, but when I do want something, I really like to make that happen.
yes.
And if there's not a good reason for it not to happen, I think it just should.
that's so that's so entitled. That's the if there's not a good reason for it to not happen, then it should just happen.
Yeah, why not?
That is a rich kid mentality
But I'm
coming
not
from
gonna
a
like
non-rich kid.
yeah, well, so
No,
I work
no.
hard.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate that.
Look, man, I marched my ass off. I want Arby's. You know,
That's understandable.
I I don't know if he was like, no, we have to take Ben home first because he can't eat the meats at Arby's. They're not kosher. Because you're totally all about that. I remember.
You know what? I wasn't going to talk about it, but yeah, keeping kosher did limit the different foodstuffs that I could eat, including the pork I had with the ramen I ate earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't eat that pork that I ate.
Nope. So sad, so sad. It just like it had to pass right through you. You didn't get to taste it. It just like
Exactly. Exactly. You that's a
it was
way
all tubes.
that's a way keeping kosher works is you can eat the non-kosher food. You just can't appreciate the non-kosher food. You can eat as much pork as you want. In fact, the Bible says in it says in the beginning it says eat as much pork as you want.
In the beginning, there was bacon and eggs.
Bacon actually came before pigs. Bacon was a concept of an ultimate food that existed in God's mind before pigs were ever a thing.
Well, that's where bacon comes from because it used to be spelled Bakin, right? But it was like a weird like Russian K.
I mean, let's establish the rules here. There was no English or Cyrillic
I'm pretty
alphabet.
sure English has been around for a long time. How else would Jesus talk to anybody?
I thought he just spoke to everybody in Latin or Aramaic or whatever stupid language they had back then. That is dead now. That is obviously dead.
Yeah, but it will rise again.
I also wanted to say one more thing about that I remember about your eating habits. We went to a place in Santa Monica, you, me, and your dad called Earth, Wind, and Flower. Are you?
I remember that place.
Yes. And I remember seeing you eat a salad with ranch dressing. And I'm not sure why I have a spoon here, but I do have a spoon here. It's for my heroin,
Yep.
obviously. Um, and I mean, you're using a fork, but you scooped up the salad onto the fork and then held it down with your thumb to just scoop more up and then just deposited all of it in your mouth. It was I've never seen anybody eat like that ever. It was just using a thumb to just tamp down on the salad so you could get as much ranch dressing in every bite as possible.
I think I'm gonna need you to write my memoir because I don't remember anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all have like vague memories of things that other people said that they have no recollection of saying. Like I was actually talking to my friend Elliot recently, and I said to him, you know, when we were really young, you once told me that you had a rabbi at your school whose last name was Penis, spelled Penis, but pronounced Penis. And he went, well, I don't remember telling you that, but I do know that we didn't have anybody at my school whose last name was spelled penis. But these are the things that just stick in our head from other people. From, you know, Elliot remembers all sorts of stuff about me that I have zero recollection of because you just think to yourself in that moment, that is just such a weird thing. All right, I have to blow my nose.
Welcome
I'm
to our
sorry.
first ad break of the
Yeah.
episode. This nose blow break is brought to you by the I think we've done this before, and they're a repeat customer. The ever expanding void of the universe. Um, Look, if you think you run out of room, you're not. So if you need to go, just move out to the fringes of the universe, and you'll find a plot of land that will never stop. Enjoy milking space cows.
Thank you for that ad break. Oh, God. My eyes are all red now. Ugh. All right. So yeah, there was no Rabbi Penis. And obviously I came to the conclusion that there was no Rabbi Penis well before I ever approached Elliot about this. But I did come to it very late. As in I'm in my 30s now and I came to the realization in my 30s that he was probably lying about there being a Rabbi Penis. Penis. Rabbi Penis. So, yeah, that's something I remember of him. And the I want to go to Arby's stuff and the way
Mm.
you ate a salad with ranch dressing is what I remember.
It's funny. I've been thinking about Arby's recently, so it's nice to that it's brought up. I might have to go.
Is there an Arby's near you?
Doesn't matter. Have car will travel. Look, I live real close to a different state. I can just go over there, pay sales tax like an idiot.
Do you know if there's an Arby's in well, what's it? What Washington
Yes. I mean,
near you?
isn't there Arby's everywhere?
The Arby's near me are disappearing.
Mm.
Oh, there was a famous one on like Hollywood Boulevard or something that's just gone now, and then there was one in Santa Monica that's been gone for a while.
I do remember the Hollywood Arby's.
You know, with Arby's, there goes the neighborhood. When an Arby's leaves, it takes out so much growth and GDP with it every time an Arby's leaves a neighborhood. It's just like a bomb was dropped.
Some good, delicious pork.
I don't even they're mostly a beef company, aren't they?
GDP.
Don't they mostly do beef? Arby's?
Well, they have the meat spin.
We have the meats, but it's beef.
Hmm. It's questionable if it's meat at all.
Nah, that's true. Jon Stewart has had a sort of constant like crusade against Arby's for decades at this point. I don't know if you've ever seen any of that, but
No, why? He's not a beef and cheddar fan.
I guess not.
You see my name this episode?
Oh, let's see what your name says in the lower right corner that really nobody else is ever able to see. Orson Scott Hard On. Boner's Game. I like Boner's Game. That makes no effort to sound like Ender's Game at all. Orson Scott Hard On. Orson Scott Card.
Yeah.
That's a pun. I appreciate that. But Boner's Game makes so little effort.
It's got the same amount of letters.
Enterboner. Yes, but Ender and Boner don't really sound alike at all. So Boner's Game is just so on the nose and stupid that I actually appreciate it. Orson Scott hard on Boner's Game. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. I had to follow up Steve Pilsner Urquell because
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that last time because the episode we recorded was just a complete dud. It was just a dud. I think we should release those unedited and just title them duds. Just dud number 1 or something like that.
yeah, we should release those before we release
Yes.
the
Just
real
to
the real trash.
just to lower expectations.
Like you got to put the garbage out before you put the trash out. That's all I'd say.
You know what? That sounds like a wise saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually mean anything, but it does sound like something that like a father would say to his son, like a saying that's been passed down through the generations. Kid, you got to put the garbage out before you take the trash out. You got to remember garbage, trash. There's two different.
Well, I want to say that garbage is the bin and trash is the household bag because it's called a trash bag. But there is a garbage bag, but that's mainly for like larger, you know, outdoor parties.
I guess so. I guess yeah, I guess there are some subtle differences between the concept of garbage and trash, but both could be considered waste.
Detritus.
Detritus, not so much.
Mm.
Detritus is kind of stuff that just kind of is left somewhere. It just sort of comes off of something.
Like a wrapper off of a chewy bar.
More like say like
Like a hubcap.
the shed skin of a snake. If it sort of comes apart and it's just kind of left willy-nilly around, that's sort of detritus. That's just kind of settled in a place. Detritus isn't something you really put in a trash. I'm glad we're talking about this. This is actually what I wanted to get to since the beginning. Since we started recording this podcast, however long ago it was, I'm glad we finally.
23 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, a year ago or more. But I'm glad we're finally talking about the minute differences and meanings of things like trash and garbage and detritus and waste. These are the weighty things that we need to talk about, not Israel bombing Iran. Okay,
That's
not
that's for the good podcast
yeah,
with opinions.
not political violence in the United States. Okay, and are all these protests happening I went to a gym today and someone said, "Did you go to a protest?" And I was like, "No, the sun hates me. I'm not protesting in this."
They're like, well, yeah. What about the Holy Ghost and the Father? Look, everything comes back to religion, to Jeebs. The
Does
old little Jeebs out there just sacrificing his handholds
his
for the
hand
greater
holes?
good. Yeah, because
Oh,
he
the
got nailed.
stigmata. Stigmata.
Stig
Yeah.
money.
Imagine Jesus holding bills with holes in his hands. Like you see the dollar bills through the holes in his
Dude,
hands.
he just like does cocaine like this.
That's brilliant. Got that stig money, bruh. Got that son of God money, bruh. Where my Jews at?
Mo mata, mo problems, they say.
Mo mata. I mean, that is a big problem, having holes in your hands. So technically, yes. More stigmata, more problems. I did have a dream once that a cat had sort of pierced its claws into my hands, and I woke up feeling like I had holes in my hands, like Jesus. Except it was a cat that I don't know. I have weird dreams.
I mean, cats have been equated to gods for eons.
Yeah, but not so much in monotheistic religions.
But you don't subscribe.
What?
You don't subscribe to the monotheism.
No, no, I do think the polytheistic religions, multiple gods, I do think those are the cooler religions. I do think it's weird that a lot of the world went from multiple gods to one god. You'd think we'd have gone just like how in the beginning of Genesis there was nothing, and then there was a bunch of stuff. You'd think we'd have gone in the beginning there was one god, and now there's a bunch of gods. But it's the exact opposite. There
Well,
were
it makes
one bunch of
sense
gods.
because you can what you didn't understand anything about the world, so you're like, this
Right.
is this thing, this is this thing, this is this thing, and then once you're like, oh, it's just science, you just have to you condense all the mystery into one unearthly being.
Yeah, that's what science is good for, is getting rid of the multiple gods so we have one god. That is the purpose of the scientific method. It's to prove the existence of God. That's what science is for. That's what we do it for. That's what all the scientific journals are for, is to prove that God exists.
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't keep like opening like Pharaoh's tombs and like unleashing like, hellish plagues and on everybody.
Yeah, yeah, with like the scarabs crawling out of your mouth and like a plague of locusts just
Oh, the mummy. That was peak. I think yeah, I think we all peaked in 1999.
I do think the idea of a mummy opening its mouth and like locusts coming out is very sort of slapstick funny. It's like, hey man, can't you smile with your mouth open? And he is like, you don't want to see me do that, you know?
It's like Cyclops like I forgot my glasses today.
Yeah, what a dumb plot point. I have to keep my eyes closed or else
Yeah, apparently that power comes from an alternate universe, so like his eyes are portal to a different universe that's just like full of powerful beams.
I didn't know that. That changes everything. That changes the entire direction of this podcast.
Well, this has been This Is Unusable. Another rip roaring unusability quotient met. I've been Tyler Martin. That's been
Ben Steinberg,
catch you next whenever.
whenever. I will edit out the last 3 minutes of this. And then what's going to happen is I'm just going to cut to me saying I'll edit out the last 3 minutes of it, and nobody will have any idea what it's referring to.